Hello, and welcome back to another edition of the SU Coaches Corner. I'm your host, Josh Klein. I have the pleasure of being joined by Randall Swope from the Susquehanna Women's Lacrosse team here at Susquehanna. Thanks for coming on with us, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
So you come to Susquehanna just this fall, and you're now the head coach. Can you tell us a little bit about the last 6 months and how it's all worked out?
Well, it's actually worked out great. I started here just as a part-time position in the fall. I retired from being a head coach, and the previous coach asked if I would help out part-time, and I did, and then it was great. I got to work with the girls, and they're a fantastic group. And then I was informed by the AD that the head coach had left, and that was just right before the holidays, and she asked if I wanted the position, and I, of course, jumped at the chance. And so it's been kind of a lucky situation for me. I'm just really looking forward to see what I can do with these girls this season.
You were able to work with the team, as you mentioned, during the fall practices. How important was it for you to be able to practice with the team and get to have a better feel for the girls on the roster?
Yeah, right. It's a huge advantage, especially when you're dealing with a mid-year change. That isn't necessarily the most common thing. So to be able to have the chance to work with all the girls in the fall was just such a lucky way of being able to know ahead of time the ins and outs of not only the program but just kind of the habits of each player, and I got a little taste for what everyone brings to the program, and so it was just an easy jump start, and so I'm really actually thankful that I was able to work with them in the fall ahead of time, and again, it really did help me prepare. Those last 3 weeks, or not last three, but the 3 weeks before the spring semester started, before all the girls got back, I already knew who I had. And so that was something that doesn't really happen very often, and I think that it really helped me prepare better than if I had just taken the job and not known them, obviously. So.
And before you came to Susquehanna, you have quite a bit of head coaching experience, including at Division I Bucknell right down the road. How have you adjusted your coaching style from the Division I level of lacrosse to now the Division III level?
I don't adjust. I also coach a little club team. I started with them when they were in 7th grade, and they're not local here, but and I coach them the same way that I coached my Division I teams. So you just adapt some things based upon the skill set of the players that you have, because obviously each team has a different set of skills. But same drills, same tempo. And if there are adjustments that need to be made, we'll make them. And if I have to go at a faster pace, I will, or a slower pace, I will. And that would be true for anyone. So there wasn't really in my brain and the way that I work, I don't coach any differently. But it does take a little bit of time. Again, like I was saying, how I was fortunate to work with the girls in the fall. It does take a little bit of time to just see who fits where with the drills and the offensive sets and defensive sets that I bring to the program. So, yeah.
The team is coming off a pretty good last season, but you guys did graduate a couple of starters. How does the team look in general for the start of the season?
They look strong, but we have to remember that everything that we're doing is new. So everything that I'm doing with them is new, and so which is good actually, because there's no predetermined biases, for where players stand within the system. But I think that with the absence of the 3 players that graduated last year, and there's a huge absence, we've had other players step up. Now, granted, I didn't coach them, last year, but I have watched all the film, and I do know that they're very talented. We have some very talented freshmen that are filling roles. We have players that didn't play a lot last year that are probably going to play a significant amount this year, and they're starting to see that it's a fresh start and everybody gets a chance. And so I think that there is an absence, but I think come conference, people are going to really be able to fill those roles and really roll on to a good start going into conference games.
And since you're new to the school and to the conference, do you think that opponents will struggle preparing with a different look from Susquehanna now compared to the consistency that they're used to seeing?
I would say it's going to be an adjustment at first. You know, once they start seeing some film, they will start to get a better sense as to what style I like to play, which is typically pretty aggressive and fast. And so I think that, yeah, it's an advantage for right now, but I think that'll be short-lived. And then, you know, we'll, just as much as I'm learning about each team, each team's going to, you know, have a little bit of time of adjustment learning how the new style of Susquehanna women's lacrosse is. So it'll be fun at first, and then it'll become a little bit more work as we go on.
How do you think the impact of film is really, you know, in the last couple of years, it's really started to change the way the collegiate and even the high school sports are going.
Yeah.
How do you think that it's changing the way that you could possibly go into coaching your players, and then the way that you can prepare for your upcoming year?
Yeah, you know, I love taking advantage of film. I like to focus more on our own team with film. So obviously you have to, there's scout, and it obviously helps tremendously to be able to watch film and on other teams and have scouting reports and bringing in certain parts of your team to watch certain parts of their team throughout the day and all that kind of thing. But I like it because, you know, the same film uploads that we do for our away games, you know, we are able to upload our own film, practice film, things like that, break it down, get it broken down by the company who sponsors it all, and really the girls will really learn from watching themselves. And I think the more we do that, the better. And obviously, like I said before, you know, a scout is great to have on other teams, and film's great to have on other teams. But even more important is the ability to have breakdown of film of your own players and let them watch themselves and learn from watching themselves.
The weather really has cooperated with a little bit with the practices outdoors on the turf. How important is it to have as much practice time as possible before your first few games?
Well, obviously, you want to be out on your field with your own lines as much as possible. You know, we're fortunate here that we have an indoor facility that's as nice as it is. It's not turf, you know, and obviously that would be, you know, a huge advantage because I don't know of many Division III teams that have indoor turf. But when we have to go inside, we make the best of it. We've got a bunch of drills that we use that are just as good teaching implements, you know, inside as the live things that we do outside. But the weather has been great. We're fortunate. It's warming up. I think, you know, we start off with our opener next weekend on the 24th against Misericordia, and we're going to be practicing every day outside because it's going to be in the 40s and 50s, which is awesome. And the girls are learning that unless it's below 20, we're going to be outside, which I think, you know, is probably a little bit new to them.
What are you looking for in terms of your team? You're looking at your roster. In order for your team to be successful, what are you looking forward to seeing in the girls?
Consistency, and I think that that's going to come probably slower now that there's a new coach in place and a new system in place. But consistency is key, and growth. So even if it's just one thing better that somebody or the team achieves each day, that's what I want. And then we'll become more consistent out of that. And I tell them time and time again, I don't care if you fail, because failing means you're taking chances and taking risks, and that's what I want them to be able to do so that they can grow and become more consistent. And so I think that those are two very key elements that I always look for. It's one thing to score goals, you know, or make big saves, but you've got to be able to do it consistently, and so and have the confidence to do that consistently. And so they all kind of play into each other, and those are the growth and consistency are the two things that I'm really looking for.
We wish you and the team the best of luck going forward. I'd like to thank the head coach for the Susquehanna women's lacrosse team and Randall Swope for joining us, and we hope to catch you next time here on the SU Coaches Corner.
Thank you.